Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Right Click. As always, Birdman here, and today is going to be a significantly different kind of episode. I'm not going to string this along, and honestly, I have tried scripting this. I have tried writing down my thoughts, my feelings into a nice little dream journal, and all that good stuff. Seriously, though. I've got some things, and I'm just going to speak from the heart on it. It's as simple as that. This will be my final episode of Right Click with Right Side Media. Now, by this point, it's already been announced, it's already been confirmed, all of that's already out there, that Right Side Media is under new ownership. I want to make something very clear before I go on. It's not going to seem like it. This is odd timing, probably to some, but this has nothing to do with the change. To be honest with you, this is something that has been in the works for a while with me. As a matter of fact, this has nothing, and I mean literally nothing to do with Right Side, any people affiliated, or anything. This is all personal on my end. Now, I'm not going to give every available detail, but some things in my life have changed substantially. I'm in the same job, but I have now taken, over these last several months, I've taken a new position within that job, and now I'm actually the lead for that job. My work-life balance is tricky now. And it's not just because of that. I've also started a company. I'm not going to use this platform to promote that company. I'm just going to make that very clear. That's something that I've never felt right about. You may have noticed, let me get my fat head out of the way, right back here. Boy, this is tricky. You'll see Challenger Gaming Network. That's another company of mine, actually. And I just don't feel comfortable. I respect this platform. I respect Right Side. I respect the people. Phil, the new owners, JP, everybody involved and related. Frankly, I respect them all too much to try to use this for my own personal gain. But in transparency and candor, I have started a new company. Now, it's hard to say that this wasn't really a company. This was just a website. It was a gaming news network. And this, unfortunately, fell to the wayside for things outside of my control. Doesn't matter. It was fun while it lasted. And this is a nice little memento of that time. This actually laid the groundwork for the new company, so on and so forth. Well, here's the thing. I love doing Right Click. A little background on it, and I'm not going to spill all the beans here again for just respect. Right Click was born out of a conversation over pizza with Phil. Because there was a point in Right Side's, before it became Right Side Media, when it's still Right Side Radio, and they were trying to build more of that media conglomerate feel. There was a conversation that we were having because I was doing a lot of the background stuff for Right Side, a lot of the website, a lot of the postings, a lot of the podcast editing, a lot of this and a lot of that, because I loved helping with it. I loved seeing it grow, and I was just happy to be a part of it. And Phil was talking about, we're gonna start. This was way back, talking about, hey, we're gonna transition ultimately into this Right Side Media, and kind of laid out the plan. I was like, well, if you ever need somebody to talk about, the political influence in video games and pop culture, you come find me. And he got real serious. He's like, are you serious? Yeah, of course. Now, background on me, and I've talked about this to some degree, but I've been involved in podcasting and speaking since I was a teenager, especially in front of a camera. I've never had a problem being in front of a camera. That's not something that's ever bothered me. Speaking into a microphone, any of that, I did public speaking growing up. This was just, I think I've said this before, but my biggest passion in my life is public speaking. So it makes this bittersweet. I mean, it really does. But it's just time. Unfortunately, it's just time. I'm beyond excited to see where Right Side goes. And looking back on things, my wife and I were there when we were dating. My wife and I were there for the first episode of Right Side Radio, like for the first airing, back when it was WVNN, right? Like, we drove down and we were there for that. It was a great honor. I've got pictures from that I cherish, because we were, if I recall correctly, we were early in dating. I mean, early. And I've been honored and blessed to be a part of this on basically every level since then. And I think about that conversation over pizza, and he was like, "Well, let's try it." And I was the first podcast to be on Right Side that wasn't, Right Side Radio. And that's a badge of honor I wear with pride. And to be honest with you, I'm struggling a little bit to let it go. Because if I'm being brutally honest, I don't want to let it go. And that's why I say that the changeover and the change of hands has genuinely nothing to do with it. These two ladies who were taking over, and JP, they have the same goals. None of that's changing. There's no difference in the foundations, the real nitty gritty of Right Side. None of that's changing. And it makes it tough, because I love doing this. And from the beginning, it was never about how many views I could rake in and how many subscribers I could rake in, or to what monetary gain could I be. I wanted to be a help where I could, in a way that I felt like I was going to be valuable, and be able to discuss something that I cared deeply and truly about. And I feel that I did that to the best of my ability in a way that I felt was correct. And so I reminisce on this a little bit. I really do. And I'm not necessarily emotional. But it is bittersweet. I've had some things that I think about that were a direct correlation to this. And, I think about Archangel Radio. I've been on Archangel Radio multiple times because of this and because of the articles and stuff like that. I've met people who called themselves fans of of Right Click. And I cherish that, because if I'm being honest with you, when I started this, I truly just wanted to help Right Side in whatever way that I could, and I felt like I could do it in this format, and I never really thought about money or fans or other connections to do other neat things. I can honestly say, hand on heart, that I never really even associated it with that. And that the byproduct of things like Archangel Radio and some speaking engagements and different opportunities and meeting fans, like, that's I never anticipated that. Understand, I never anticipated that. And so I'm going to have a hard time letting go, because I enjoyed every facet of this. And, there's days, especially lately over the last several months, a lot of this year has been tough. But there's been days where I typically try to record on Thursday nights. It's just where my schedule has previously worked best. It gives me time to edit, re-record if need be. But most of my stuff is in one take. I know what I want to talk about, and I go from there, and I really do enjoy it. And I have a genuine, true, honest-to-God passion for this industry, for the gaming industry. And this has allowed me to discuss that. And in ways that I felt like needed to be discussed. And everybody's so quick nowadays to call you X, Y, and Z for your beliefs. I'm I'm steadily amazed. Listen, I will admit, I've been inflammatory to some degree on certain things. One, because, well, sometimes the situations are so friggin' ludicrous, you might as well play into it a little bit and have some fun with it. But also, perfect example. One of the episodes I did was called the Leah Thomas of esports, and it's about a team of dudes who joined in as into a women's league and cleaned house. That's ludicrous, and I still have a problem with that. I think it's nonsense because it's reductive. But people are so quick to jump down your throat and say, well, you're a transphobe, you're this, no hate like Christian love. It's like, first of all, you don't know what you're talking about. I have no problem being blunt. You don't know what you're talking about. And if you really believe that, it's yours to believe. I really don't give a rat's. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, the truth is still the truth. And if the truth and facts hurt your feelings, then the truth and the facts are not the problem. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Now, if you want to have a one-on-one conversation and agree to disagree, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to belittle somebody, especially not face-to-face. But I will say the same thing. Let's take the example I just gave. If you believe that those men scamming women out of money is the morally correct thing to do, I'm going to have the exact same mentality as before. That's garbage. They should be banned from that. And they should be where they need to be, in a men's league. It's not controversial. It's controversial because you want it to be, because you can't control your emotions, and that's just the truth. And that's just the fact. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. I don't care. You can disagree all day long. And here's the benefit. We can disagree and move on our merry way, because I'm not hurting you. And this is why Charlie Kirk died. It's just the truth. This is why Charlie Kirk died. Because people don't like candor. They like being coddled. And even if it's something that we disagree, if I can pat you on the head and go, it's okay. But what good does that do either of us? I don't stand for anything and you fall for everything, and vice versa. That's not how we move the needle of progress in our country. You want unity, you want unison. That's not how you get there. You're making a generation of iPad kids. I mean, it is what it is. And that's the thing that really kills me in all of this, is I believe that there is a lot of good that's come from and can come from something like this. And I'd love to see somebody pick up this mantle, to be honest with you. I'd love to see somebody take up Right Click and keep it going. Because this industry, it reaches so heavily into so many things now. And it's got so much good that can come from it. And so it's the biggest reason why I've loved doing this so much. But the reality is it is time for me to move on. And that is tough. The company that I've started, we've had early success so far, and I'm very pleased and proud of it. And it is within the gaming industry still. I can't get away from it. I love it, and I hope to be able to take it to the next step every time, because it's what I've tried to do here. And I can hold my head high and believe that and say that, and I know that. But unfortunately, because of just added responsibility, I'm not looking for a pity party. I don't care. I chose this. I chose this. I chose to take on a new role and to start a business. I chose that. And I know my time is limited. And I'm not going to sit here and apologize for, I got to get up at 6 and then I work until midnight. This is what I chose to do, and I don't regret it one bit. But the reality is, I can't give this the time and effort that it needs, that it really deserves. and that Right Side deserves. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to Right Side. You've noticed, I'm sure, I've had multiple times over the last couple of months where I've had to skip a week, where an article hasn't gone up, and and it's because it doesn't matter. The because doesn't matter, because at that point it's just excuses. The reality is I just can't give it what it needs. And so I think the best decision is to step back and wish them the best. Because I really do. I really, really do. And I wish I could keep going. And I wish it was fair to everybody to do that, but it's not. And I would love, truly, truly, truly love to see somebody pick up the mantle of Right Click. I really, really would. But that's just not where I'm at right now. I can't facilitate it like I'd love to. And there's so much happening right now that needs to be talked about. There's so much happening. You speak to the culture, you can change a generation. You can change multiple generations. And I believe that. And I think the best way to do that is through this industry. Genuinely. And I think a lot of the people who watch that agree with that. Watch this. They agree with that either consciously or subconsciously, even if they disagree with the things that I say. Because, well, the reality is, even if you disagree, you're still on this. And you can see it in so many of these games that use the games as tools for pushing cultural narratives. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I mean, for God's sake, we talked like a year ago about a game that flopped immediately, and one of the mechanics of it was canceling somebody. So, this is where we're at. So, with that, it's time to move on. I appreciate every person that's ever watched. I appreciate every person that's shared, that's commented, that's liked. It means the world to me. This opportunity has meant the world to me, regardless of the impact it's had, just the ability to be able to sit here and do this. I mean, I've changed an entire room in my house and have made a studio out of it. And to be fair, it's a perfect place for it. We started with just a white backdrop and then had an American flag hung up, and it looked not great. So my wife and I said, screw it. Fun fact, since we're just sitting here, my wife and I built all of this. We got all these soundproof panels, cut all of these to fit. It goes partially, this is a slanted wall right here, and it partially goes up, and we hand ran all of these, and it goes to a control hub down there, and I control it off my phone. I'll since we're having fun, right? Part of the backdrop has been this corner table. Well, here's a couple of things for you as I sign off. This is some memorabilia that's just important to me. I've got two sim racing wheels here. I've got my new one on my actual sim racing rig. I enjoy sim racing. I love that. I watch a lot of motorsports. That's actually what this is. That's Lando Norris, an F1 driver. There's a guy I follow on Etsy. His name's like Crescent something, but he makes a lot of F1 stuff, and it's really cool. It's custom stuff. I've got the Oscar Piastri one. I've got a bunch of other stuff. I've got a Charles Leclerc one. Point being. And that's the surrounding stuff. But the big Challenger Gaming Network, my wife made this for me when we started this. This was our logo, and she kind of did a wood burning thing and put it on a bronze plate or a brass plate. And I love this. It was so cool. Then right below it, you have the lightsaber that I built in Disney World. I grew up a huge Star Wars fan, regardless of what Kathleen Kennedy's trying to do to it. And then below it is Wallace. This is from Optic Gaming, which got a lot of this here. We went to the Call of Duty Championship in 2024 out in Texas. And it was the first time that Optic had won since 2017. And mind you, I had been following Optic since I was 13, 14. So actually, my God, half my life at this point I've been following Optic. I've never even put that together. So this was one of the things that they were doing. It says Optic Wallace at the bottom, and it's got the logo. Because for those of you who don't know, Optic, so you have Alabama football, Alabama Crimson Tide, right? They call it the Green Wall. So, a little character they made. It's just one of my Scuf controllers, kind of a nicer looking one, so I've always kept it over here. That controller over there is just a good GameSir controller. Great controller. Moving on, I've got some just kind of more memorabilia here. This was on the 2024 World Championship jersey. Optic only releases their championship whites, which is their Sunday worn. If you make it to Championship Sunday, they wear white variants of their jersey. Well, they don't sell them unless they win champs in that jersey. And this is when they do that, they attach these to it. And you see the little loop up here. But this is actually, this middle section right here is actually a sticker. So I can always keep the whole thing. Well, we won again this year, and so they did it again. So I've got the back-to-back champions. Well, when we won in 2024, they released a couple of special things. This right here is a bandana. You can see I've got it folded up kind of in a weird way here, so I'm not going to get it up. But it's got Optic's logos and stuff on it. But Optic Kenny, one of the guys who won on that team, his whole shtick was if he made it to grand finals of the World Championship, he would always wear his bandana. And this is a replica of it. And then right after, I guess I'm just going to ruin this, they released a very, very limited run of replica championship rings. So I'll see if I can kind of, yeah. So that is and this took, I haven't had this long. It took forever to get here. And then I have a controller stand, a Star Wars Stormtrooper controller stand, and then probably the most prized thing in my possession, one of at least, is the controller I actually competed with when I was at the top of my game, quote unquote. And this is a Scuf Impact, and this is my fully custom controller. I was always a fan of black and yellow colorways, and I loved the hex pattern. And then for a little bit of flair, I did the blue grip tape on the back from them as well. You can see it's only got 2 paddles right now. I used to have 4. Fun little fact for you, and the triggers are broken. Oh yeah, and then my custom with my gamer tag at the time. They had put out a PC-only variation of one of these controllers. It was a different design, but it was a PC-only variation, and it was awful. It was truly awful. A buddy of mine had it, and he never used it because it never worked. But it had the best paddles they had ever put on one of their controllers. And what I found out is that the little slot, because these just slide into this slot, they had the exact same slot as what was on these. So I replaced the paddles with those and had it for years. And just from use, they just degraded in the middle and just separated, all 4 of them. And so these are paddles from another something. I don't know. They're awful. But this is going to sound silly, and I don't even care. This is extremely meaningful to me for a lot of reasons, and a lot of them are personal. But Right Click kind of comes from this era of my life. This is one of those things that to me is personal, important enough that, the whole, if your house is burning down, what 3 items did you grab? That's up there for me. That's on that list. So, there's my little breakdown. Never talked it through, but I figured I would at least talk about the set. And then I have my Millennium Falcon phone charger over here. It's a wireless charger, which lights up, I think. Yep. It blasts off and takes, So, yeah. I truly appreciate everybody that stuck around. I really do. I hate that I'm leaving. I really do. But I truly thank you for all of the time. And it means the world. Please continue to support Right Side. What these new owners are doing is fantastic, and they still care in the exact same way that Phil does. You're not going to be disappointed. Full stop. It's as simple as that. Go support them. They deserve it. 100%. So, for the last time, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I was going to say see you in the next one out of habit, but I guess not. I'll still be around to some degree, I'm sure. But thank you all for watching. Y'all take care.